Hi guys, nama saya BITS2343.
Hello everyone, my name is Tukma Hakim bin Nasir and I'm a student from BITZ program. Pleased to meet you.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Amirul Hakimi bin Ahmad Zulizham.
Hai, saya Muhammad Aiman bin Azali.
My name is Muhammad Ashraf bin Hairuddin.
Hi, so I would like to explain about requirement 1 and 2. As for requirement 1, I was assigned to identify all the IP addresses for both HQ and branches. So I'm going to go for HQ network. As for HQ network, there are 3 which are red, orange, and blue. The reason I put red at first is because red has the most devices compared to other 2 networks, followed by orange, which has less device than red and more device than blue. At last is the blue. So the given network address was 192.168.5.128. 5 is the group number. Then I found out all the first usable, last usable, and broadcast addresses for all 3 networks in HQ. After that, I assigned all the IP addresses. Then I go for branch IP addresses. I separated as 4, purple, green, HQ to branch 1, and HQ to branch 2. Alright, the purpose of me putting the purple at first is because purple needed the most IP addresses, which is 16,000, followed by green, which needed 4,000 IP addresses. Lastly, I assigned all the IP addresses, and yeah, that's for the requirement 1 part. Alright, as for requirement 2, I was assigned to build this topology. And then I need to create VLAN in 3 switches, which is switch 0, switch 1, and switch 2. So I already created the VLAN. So as you can see, now I'm gonna showing the VLAN brief by using the command show VLAN brief. So yeah, I have created 4 VLAN. So 10 is for red, VLAN 20 is for orange, and VLAN 30 for blue, and VLAN 99 is for management. So I have done the same for switch 1 and also switch 2. Yeah. So that's it for the VLAN part.
So for the next part, I will be explaining on how to do the requirement 3 and 4. So we'll start off with the switches. We have to assign which interfaces. Assign it to either trunk or access. So go ahead and show around here. So for example, switch S0, we have connection between S1 and S0. This will be the mode trunk. And for the rest, it's just watch port mode access. And for this mini project, we have, for this network, we have 3 VLANs, which is VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and VLAN 30. VLAN 10 is red VLAN, VLAN 20 is the orange VLAN, and VLAN 30 is the blue VLAN. So we go ahead and assign. I've done the configuration already, and I've assigned each interfaces to their switch port modes. So for example, we have interface fast internet 0/1. I believe that is VLAN 10, which is in the red VLAN. And then we have something like interface fast internet 0/8 is for VLAN 30, which is the B2. So that is the blue VLAN. Also, we assign switch port mode trunk for fast internet 0/11, which is the connection between S0 and S1. This is the same for the rest of the switches. Oops. Show again. For this switch, it connects to 2 devices. I mean 5. Two of them have in the same VLAN, which is the blue VLAN, VLAN 30, which is the server and this computer right here. And for the rest, it connects to 2 switches and a router. So we assign the interface that connects to the server and the computer as switch port mode access, and we assign them to the VLAN 30, which is the blue VLAN. And for the rest, it's just switch port mode trunk. And for the switch S2, okay. Whoops. Show run. Okay. So for fast Ethernet usage 1 is the connection between S1 and S2. So we have to set it as switch port mode trunk. And for the rest, it's just switch port mode access. But you have to remember that the M1 computer here, it is a VLAN 10, VLAN 10 because it's in the red VLAN. And for the rest, it's just VLAN 20 because it's in the orange VLAN. We have assigned port, switch port trunk and access for the interface. Now we move on to the encapsulation, which we'll do in the HQ router. I've also done the encapsulation as well, but we'll see the configuration right here. So I've assigned for interface fast Ethernet 0/0, which is the connect interface from HQ to the switch 1, and .10. This is for the red VLAN, and then I'll go ahead and type encapsulation.1q10, and then the IP address, and the subnet mask for the red VLAN, which I've already have. Also, we need to do the .20 and .30, which is the orange and blue VLAN. So we need to the configuration, same, encapsulation.1q20 and IP address, and then the subnet mask, and then do what for the blue VLAN. So that's it for inter-VLAN. Thank you very much.
Okay, for the first in requirement 5, we have to configure routing protocol at each router in branches and HQ network with RIP version 2. So we have to go to each of the routers and configure it with RIP. And then write all networks that are connected to the router. That's HQ router. Now branch 1 router. That's branch 1. Now branch 2 router. Now at each router we have to do the router 2, the RIP version 2. Now all routers have version 2. RIP version 2. Okay, so the next in requirement 5 is ensure all hosts in the branches network can communicate within them and only to the web server in the HQ network. So first we have to go to each of the networks and then access the access list. Now that we are done with branch 1, we will now do branch 2. Now both branch routers have AP access group. Okay, so the next in requirement 5 is identify the route each host passes through to communicate with the other host in branches network. We can do this by making a simulation of where the packet goes to S4, branch 1, HQ, branch 2, S3, okay, the last one in requirement 5 is all hosts in red network and blue network must be able to communicate only between themselves inside its own VLAN and only to the web server. To do that, we have to go to HQ router and make an access list. See in show run that there's a access group in fast Ethernet 00 and the access list is this one.
First of all, we're gonna configure the server. Go to the red server, and then go to the desktop to get the default gateway, copy it, and then go to the DHCP and then paste the default gateway. Then we're gonna start it with 130, and then just save it and turn on the DHCP. Alright, next we go to the blue server, same like the red server, copy the default gateway, then go to the service, then paste it, and then set the start IP address, save it, and then turn on the blue server. Next we go to the purple server, go to the desktop and copy the default gateway, and go to the service and go to the DHCP, and then paste the default gateway and the start IP address, and then we save it. Alright, next we change to the green pool and then change to 64.240, start with 64, and then we save it, add first, then we save, and then turn on the DHCP. Alright, next we're gonna find the address. First go to M1, turn on the DHCP, and then see the 1.130, the M2, turn on the DHCP, 131, M3, go to the DHCP, turn on the DHCP, .132, and then go to M4, turn on the DHCP, and then we got .133 to M5, turn on the DHCP, and we got the .134, M6, turn on the DHCP, we got the .135, M7, turn on the DHCP, then we got the .136, right, M8, turn on the DHCP, and we got .137. Next we're gonna go to the blue U1, turn on the DHCP. Alright, .154. Go to the B2, turn on the DHCP. .155. Let's go to the purple P1, turn on the DHCP. Let me see .0.2. Okay, we go to the P2, ipconfig, turn on the DHCP. .0.3. We go to P3, ipconfig, turn on the DHCP, but .0.4. Alright, next we set the IP help address as a DHCP relay at the branch 2. Enable config terminal interface fast Ethernet 0 0 IP address 172.5.64.1 255.255.255.240.0 IP helper address 172.5.0.5. Enter, and then we end. We copy, run, start, and then we're done. Next, we go to the green G1, turn on the DHCP, and then we see dot 2. Go to the G2, turn on the DHCP. We got the dot 3, then G3, to DHCP, then we got dot 4, and then for the G4, change to DHCP, and then we got dot 5. Alright, that's all.
Okay, now I will present about requirement 7 and requirement 8. What I must do in requirement 7, first go to Orange server, web server, and then check the HTTP, make sure the HTTP is on. Next, I go to purpose server, and I go to DNS, make sure DNS service is on. Then I put a web name. Web name I will put group 5 because I am from group 5. group5.utem.edu.my. Then address, for the address I get from Orange server because Orange server is web server. Go to config, then I copy the default gateway. Then I paste to address, and after I paste the address, I click button add. After I click button add, and this is what the detail. Okay, next, after go to purpose server, then go back to Orange server and go to services, go to email, and make sure email services is both is on. Then you put a domain name. I will put with mail.com. Then for the user, I put HQ. For the password, I put 12345. Then I click button 5. I click the button plus, and so on. I do to user 1, and then I put a password 12345. I click plus, and user 2, I put a password 12345, and I click plus. Okay, that's all for requirement 7. Okay, next go to requirement 8. What I must do in requirement 8 is I go to Orange server back, then I go to HTTP. This for I want to edit my web, so I want to put picture of my group members, so I am click import. So as you can see, I already saved my group members, so I can click this, I click open, so it will import in this. So as you can see, 1 2 3 4 5, I already input 5 picture of our members, our group members. And next, after then, I go to edit HTML. I edit the coding. Before this, the coding is different from now, but if we use that coding, our picture will not come out. So I get the new coding. As you can see, group 5, this will turn out group 5, we are from group 5, and the picture, as you can see, is picture of Lokman, and which will turn out with metric card and name, and Mala picture, Amrul picture, Ashraf picture, and Ayman picture. After that, I then save. Click save and yes. And that's all for requirement 7, requirement 8, and that's all for requirement 7 and 8. Thank you.